Welcome into the Farmers Union pregame show. As always, I'm Ken Oden. Noah Grant is alongside, and a special guest, Nick Maxon from the St. Cloud Norsemen. We're getting you ready for Tauros and Norsemen here tonight. We'll start with a quick recap of last night's disappointing overtime loss, Noah.
Yeah, I mean, disappointing in the respect that you always just want to win hockey games, but we kind of talked about it in the broadcast. It feels like both of these teams got a point, which was well-deserved. I felt like it was a game where both teams played well enough to at least earn a point on the weekend throughout the single game set. I think from the Toro perspective, I mean, when you have whatever it was, 6 power play opportunities or something like that, they did well enough on special teams with 2 power play goals, goal on the delayed call. They give up a pretty egregious shorthanded goal on the other side, though, so there's some things that need to be cleaned up. But you kind of feel like with 6 power play chances, with how many chances they had on those power plays, they probably could have had one more, which could have been the difference in regulation.
For sure. The shorthanded goal hurt. A goal that isn't really anyone's fault, just a weird bounce off the stanchion, comes back to the front. You know, in a game that ends up going to overtime, that plays a huge role. You don't mind seeing those when it's a blowout one way or the other, but in a close game, those will kill you too.
Yeah, they will. And, you know, I think even though that it was an unfortunate bounce, the Tauros responded with 2 of their own right away. You like the response at the end of period number 1. I think what was more concerning is you have that shorthanded turnover in the middle of the game, or I should say at the end of that first period, and that was really deflating. So to see them respond, they get a goal with 6 seconds left in the first period. It was kind of gut check time, and you felt like going into the second period, the Tauros were going to be okay. And suddenly they were a little bit flat in the middle period, which is something that in this building with the period of the long change has kind of been a little bit misleading, something that's been uncharacteristic of this squad in recent years.
For sure. Let's take a look at the Tauros Tribune Central Division standings. After last night's game, Tauros do jump up into second place by getting that point, 3 points behind Austin, who we face next weekend. And St. Cloud, tonight's opponent, 5-3-3. They were actually in the building last night for a portion of that game. 13 points as well for St. Cloud. You can see there on your screen, fans, that the Central Division is packed tight with the exception of North Iowa.
Yeah, certainly is. The separation, like you mentioned, 4 points is the spread between first and fifth. And, I mean, would it be the Central Division if it wasn't like that? I think the only thing that's surprising is how poorly North Iowa has played. Usually that last place team is maybe within, I would say, 6 or 7 points by this time around. But other than that, if you're the Tauros, you know, every point matters like we've talked about. We saw the difference 2 seasons ago against the aforementioned Bismarck Bobcats. It came down to the last game of the regular season. You don't want to put yourself in that spot, so any win, any point is crucial. That's why when you look back to last night, you would have liked both the points, but taking one from a very storied opponent is something you'll always like to have if you are going to lose a hockey game.
Yeah, heading into the third trailing, you're happy to get at least a point, and you would have liked the second one, but a good comeback in the third period gets the Tauros a point. Let's move on to the Tauros Tribune Live players to watch, and we'll go to Nick first. We'll let the guest give us his. I'm assuming you're going to go with a guy from St. Cloud.
I think that's usually how it goes, right? For my not Tauros fans, you got to watch out. If you're a Toro on the ice, Michael Coleman leads the team in points with 8, 4 goals, 4 assists. Loves to shoot the puck too. Leads the team in shots on goal with 31. So that's a player you need to watch. Another guy you want to watch too is Luka Munoz, who's had kind of a breakout season. He's had a couple of years in the null. 3 goals all last year, already with 4 this year. So those are 2 players to watch the offensive side. To put the puck in the net here for the Norsemen.
Well, I'll always give you a break when you pick a Chicago kid. But Noah, how about you? Who's your Toro to keep an eye on tonight?
Well, I'm going to think little here. How about John Small? 1 assist on the 3rd goal last night. I really liked the way he played. I thought he was a catalyst in the middle of the ice, and he's on that grouping as well too, where he's not the biggest body. It's kind of a water bug line, so to speak, but it brought a lot of physicality. And I think for this Tauros team, if there's one thing that I would say that they've been missing throughout portions of the season, especially when they've struggled, go back 2 weekends ago against Aberdeen, a little bit of physicality. And when you see a guy who's maybe not the biggest on paper, bringing that physicality and also can bring speed and skill with it, it's a good mix.
Well, see, now I feel like I should almost change my guy. He goes with the Chicago kid in Luka Munoz. You go with the Chicago kid in John Small. Me, the Chicago kid, I go with the Canadian. Brady James is my guy. 2-1-0 on the season, a 1.95 goals against, averaging 905 save percentage. He I don't want to say struggled in his first game, but that first game against Aberdeen was his first game of hockey in like 6 or 7 months. So it was good to get him going again. He played really well against North Iowa. So I think he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on. And since we're all doing Chicago guys, I'm going to throw Trevor Stahowiak in as well. Stacks is, he's second-year captain, 20-year-old player. He's got some assists. I'm looking for him to pop one either tonight or tomorrow. Yeah,
would certainly agree. You talked about that top line, too. They finally get that mark with John Emmons last night. He's able to capitalize there. So, almost brings a tear to your eye if you can Oda over here. So good to see the production from the Tauros continue from the top line. It'll be much needed throughout the weekend.
On to our home key group, keys to the game. I'll kick this one off. I'm going to say they need to make their Mesa Arena feel like home. Tauros 5-1-0 outside of this building, just 1-1-1 here. So I think right off the bat, getting the crowd into it and feeling good and just getting that home ice advantage. Typically, the Tauros have been strong at home. So far this year, off to an average start.
Yeah, and speaking of starts, I'm talking about the exit strategy. The transitional game for the Tauros looks really good early, and I think the starts in this building have been actually pretty good for the first 20 minutes. But then as the game wears on, the transitional game starts to break down. It picked up last night in the third period, and the Tauros started to reestablish dominance in the offensive zone. But when they're really struggling, especially the period with the long change, that's where you start to see the transition game break down. When the Tauros are not exiting their zone cleanly, they're not getting through the neutral zone cleanly, things become much more difficult for them to generate offense.
And Nick, for a St. Cloud perspective, what's the key to the game for them?
Puck management also in the transitional game. Minot likes to play up on the defenseman, especially when they're chasing the puck. So for St. Cloud, making sure you're going D to D and up the ice north quick, and then just getting that puck deep and then working the Tauros down low. If St. Cloud can go to that low to high game, again, they're more of a blue collar team. Love to play with that physicality, kind of wear you down as the game goes along. So if they can make sure they get the puck on the offensive side of the part of the rink first, work down low, then go low to high, get shots through from the D, I think they'll be all right.
All right, let's move on to our Forebears Casino and Lodge over-unders. Fans, you can play these in the Tauros Hockey mobile app, win a stay-and-play package from our friends at Forebears Casino. Jamie Hyatt was the big winner last night. He got all three correct.
Pain. I was almost there until the coincidental set in overtime. So it's very rare that I'm right. So I wanted that opportunity. I'm not going to lie to you.
So we can pit you two against each other here on today's show. We're going Tauros goals allowed, 2.5.
Under.
I mean, do I have to go to the over? I mean, I think I have to.
You pretty much, you have to take the over there.
I have to take the over on that.
Total combined second period shots on goal. So this is both team shot totals added up. I got it at 20.5. Will we see an open period or a little bit more of a slowdown?
I'm going higher.
I'm going to agree with you on that one for a change. 20.5 sounds about right because the Tauros in this building, their transitional game has struggled the most in that second period. It's been wide open, and I think we are going to go over on that one.
And then the last one of our Forebears Casino and Lodge over-unders. This is a weird one I like to throw at people every so often. Empty net goals. Will we see an empty net goal tonight? It's at 0.5.
I think this is going to be a close game. Again, both teams looking to establish themselves. I think we are going to see one today.
I'm going to go with under. Tauros win 4-1.
All right. Well, last one we'll have for you, and we'll let Nick play along with this. I don't know that we'll let Noah because he probably knows the answer, but the McDonald's Tauros trivia question. Fans, you can also play this in the Tauros Hockey mobile app, a chance to win a value meal from our friends at McDonald's. What is the Tauros record for assists in a game? It's been done twice, both times against St. Cloud. The options are 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Let's go with 6.
6. All right. Well, fans, you can put your guess in too. We'll announce the winner during the third period of tonight's game. Now we'll turn it over to Ben Lifto for the starting lineups.